It's time to talk about some van upgrades, some mods, some changes we've made in organization, security, unfortunately, but fortunately, mechanical. You found Explore Trek Adventure with Kelly and Greg. We cover everything camping from backpacking to adventure vans. I'll put affiliate links for everything we talked about in the description below so it's easy for you to find.
We've added 3 new things for security-wise for the van, and I think the ultimate goal, just to know like why we're doing it, the ultimate goal for us is to be able to park in the city and like go inside a grocery store, go do some things and not have to worry 100% about the van. At least we'd be notified or have some kind of warning if something was happening to the van while we're in town. There's a company in the UK that makes a product called Van Guardian, and they're actually like this little black box system. They say Van Guardian on them, and they like place them in strategic spots, like on the door, on like the big slider door. And then they have these little motion sensor things in them. There's a key fob, and they make a horrible racket if they get disturbed. There's no real dealer in the US that I could find. Somebody mentioned that they use these specific motion sensors. We've placed multiple of these in and outside the van. One thing to note is they are 113 decibels when they're going off. It's stupid loud. It's very, very loud. When you're inside the van and multiple of these are going off, it's not the place to be, which is kind of what I want. We've got these also on the outside of the van, and actually let me show you, kind of demonstrate like how these work. I don't know what this says about us, but I think we've got a key problem. We haven't quite figured out how to do our keys yet, but it does come with a key fob. And the cool part is one key fob can be attached to multiple sensors. When I arm this, you'll hear multiple beeps, and there's these multiple sensors arming themselves. They beep to let you know that they've started, and then they give you one more beep to know that they're active. So we'll hit O on. There it is. Okay, that's it. It's a little bit of delayed reaction. So say I'm somebody who wants to go check out what all I got going on the roof here. That person comes up and starts to go, and the very first time that these sense motion, they give a warning. They don't immediately go off, but they give you that warning. And if you continue, that's where you get that. And it's very loud, very, very loud. The same thing goes for our bag back here. So say somebody like, oh, look at what we got going here. Oh, I probably shouldn't do that. And in hopes that they would leave. And obviously if they continue, it will set the alarm off. Since each sensor comes with its own key fob, if you have sensors on the outside of the van, you can pair them with a specific key fob. And then if you did inside sensors, you could do those on another. That way, if you're inside the van and say there's somebody doing some sketchy business on the outside, you can hit this little alarm button. And when you hold it down, that's actually when it goes off, but you can just kind of pulse it if you want. And then you could also arm it and then have it go off. They make a couple different versions of these. This is the one with the internal lithium battery, and it's charged here on the end, and it's got a little dust cap cover. So in theory, these are waterproof. Basically, they're gonna be safe outside. I've had these on for quite a while, and it's been pouring down rain, and they all have been working fine. They also come with some double-sided sticky tape that you can attach them to various places. When you think about security, kind of think of it in multiple layers. That audible alert out there is nice. It's gonna get attention of people around, but it's not gonna do much good if I'm in the store. And in comes the next layer. This is the layer that will notify us. And this is a motion sensor alarm made by Simtech. And let me pop it off here. And as you can see, this has a magnetic mount. And up here, we've got a little metal plate here that this just sticks to. This was originally designed to go inside of a gun safe to warn you or to let you know if the gun safe's been opened or accessed. It's got 3 different sensors. There's a motion sensor here. There's a light sensor in here. There's also a vibration sensor in here. I've actually disabled 2 of those sensors, and we're only using the motion sensor. This has an internal lithium battery. When this thing sees motion, it will send out a message to my phone via SMS, and actually there's an app as well, via cellular. And that's like the key right there is, then there's an internal antenna, but then there's also this little plug here for an external antenna. And if you look here, you can see we have this external antenna mounted here, which just plugs right in. This is the base unit. It also comes with an optional mount like this, and it can sit in here. This is where these magnets are, which I really like. You can also pivot it if you had an application where you needed to do that. And then you can stick it on like so. And then when you stick it up here, it's just a simple plug-in to plug in the antenna, like that. And then we're all active. Some people may think that this like looks bulky, and I actually like it because it does look bulky, because if somebody's peering into the window like Kelly is, they can see this motion sensor up here with an obvious antenna sticking there, and hopefully that in itself will be a deterrent. I really like the app. When it sends you an alert, it's super simple, but it has a lot of good information that you actually need. First, it tells you the battery, so you always know the battery status of the monitor. It tells you the signal strength that this thing actually is and how it's connecting out to the cell towers. It also gives you the temperature, the humidity, and the latitude and longitude of where this thing is on planet Earth. This thing is not perfect. The only downfall is there's no off switch, but that's actually by design so somebody can't grab this and turn it off. So I basically just took the packing material that it came with, and it has a little cover that it puts on there, and now it can't see anything. It's still active, it's just blind. But if we're in an area that we know that we're gonna leave the van, I'll just take this cover off, pop it on the thing, and then now it's active. The other layer of security is adding a couple cameras to the van, and I ended up going with the Wise cameras. These are the version 4 cameras. They're super simple, they're super cheap, although they make a couple different flavors. This is the cheaper, just inexpensive small one. And if you look here, you can see that this one is all mounted in there, and it stays, I mean, it's nicely hidden. These little cameras have a lot of really cool features. First, this bottom is magnetic, so you can stick this to things. I'll I can show you right here, like that. So it makes it really easy to mount places. They also have a spotlight right here. They have an internal speaker and microphone. Surprisingly, they have decent night vision as well. Let me give you an example. So say we leave the van and then we say we're away. And here you can see it already saw me in the van. It's sending me alert. But that spotlight is nice. When people are peering in the window, it actually sees them in the window and it flashes the light on, so they would know that, oh, maybe somebody's in there, or maybe I shouldn't mess with this van. We're testing one of their other battery-powered cameras, and that's this one right here. It's got some cool features. The big giant battery, that's actually why this case is so big. Although it does kind of have a downfall, is since it is battery powered, it wants to power save. So when you go to tell it to do things, there's a slight delay, which I don't really like. But it is waterproof, and we're gonna play around with mounting it outside the van and kind of see how that works, and potentially see about mounting maybe one of these outside as well. When the Wise cameras send out an alert, it will send you a little snapshot of what it sees. And that's all with no subscriptions. You can get a subscription which does a bunch of AI, a bunch of cool stuff, and you can detect this and detect that and put all sorts of rules around it. I didn't want any of that. I just want to know a simple screenshot of what it sees at the time of the alert. This last one we have to geek out just a little bit, so bear with me. But in order for our cameras to send you the signal, they need internet access, and that leads us to our last thing. And back here we have mounted our little GL-iNet router, and this provides a network for the van itself. It's multiple cool features, but let me show you one of the cool ones. This is the power plug. I just pulled the power plug. Do you notice anything different here? It has an internal battery right here. So this whole gray part right here is actually an internal battery, and it'll run for like 5 or 6 hours on battery alone. You'll notice this thing has a ridiculous amount of antennas. These 2 outside ones are 5G antennas. These 2 inside ones are your Wi-Fi antennas. It has 2 spots, I think over here, for 2 SIM cards. So this is multi-WAN, and basically what that means is there's multiple ways to get to the internet, and this will handle it for you. By default, I've got this thing set up with a T-Mobile SIM card. So if we're in the city, which T-Mobile almost always works, this thing is going to primarily use T-Mobile. For whatever reason, if that cellular signal goes out, it'll switch over to use Starlink, and it'll connect to the Starlink through the Wi-Fi signal here. You also have the option of using this plug right here to tether to like a phone or an iPad. So if you have, that's yet a third option. And the cool part is all those internet connections are constantly being monitored by this thing. At any given time, if one of them goes down, the primary goes down, it'll switch over to the secondary and then the next one. So say we need to use Starlink as our primary, and then we park under a tree in town, which obviously not going to work. It'll immediately flip over to T-Mobile. You're on the road doing whatever. If an internet connection is super important, check out this router. We actually really like it. I'm glad I purchased it. It's been everything I wanted it to be. I do like being able to throw this outside if you really needed a really good 5G signal, if you're in a place that'll do that. But then when you get back into the van, you pop it back on its mount and you're good to go. And that way everything in the van always is connected to this network. They don't have to know, oh, they're not connected directly to Starlink. They know they're not connected to some tethered phone. They're just connected here, and this thing maintains those connections for you. And I think in the future, this will help us be able to have a solid internet connection if we want to do live streams and stuff like that.
Having a small space organization is 100% the most important thing. We have our little REI bags. We have our bathrooms stuff in here. Easy to grab. Clothes up in our REI bags up here. We've talked about these before. But now we've added some more. They're inexpensive canvas little tote bags. And the best thing about them is they're color coded, so they're easy to find what we need. We know all our cables, and we have a lot of them, are in the green tote. Each of these bags has a loop on them, so you could hang them wherever you want. It's got a nice zipper on there. It's easy to open up, very sturdy. I mean, we have our jumper cable in this one. And I think Greg's actually going to be stealing some of these to put some tools in them. I cannot express enough how much organization is key in having a van. The nice thing is they come in a bunch of different colors, so you can color coordinate your stuff.
More organization for your kind of your driver's area. Technically, you could use this for either side, but we put this visor mount on here, and this is by Tactical Elite Spanker, the single-handedly weirdest name of any product ever. But it actually is really nice. It's super well made. It's like this really thick material. It's also really big, and people complain about this being too big for their cars. When it comes to the Sprinter, it's actually on the small side. You can see that it comes up to here, and the Velcro straps are long enough to hold it in. It's got a ton of space for pins, a bunch of areas for documentations or for your park passes. Over here, I can undo it here so you can see a little bit easier. You've got a spot here for IDs or license or for your insurance. Then you've got a bunch of Velcro loops that you could put anything in there. The next storage item is up here on the roof, and we added this rack on here, and we use this to store some paddle boards in. The problem is when you have the paddle boards in there, that bag they come in is not really meant to be waterproof. When we were driving around, they'd get wet, and then I just worried about them staying moist in there and getting mildew. Basically, this is just a roof bag for like a car roof. The bag itself seems to be pretty nicely made. It's got these rings that strap on each corner. There is one strap in the middle, but it also has this waterproof zipper and then this flap that goes over right here. There is one word of caution: if this thing is empty, it becomes a swimming pool, which we kind of discovered on our last camping trip. Make sure that there's at least something in there to shed the water off that way. This will be mostly storage for water toys, stuff like that, but we also are putting like paper towels and stuff up here, but we're putting those inside a dry bag then in here, so there's just no chance of any water getting in there. If you do have this owl ladder, I just want you to be aware of something that we recently discovered. I really like it because it has this bend and it follows the curvature of the van. The problem is when we had stuff up on the roof, we had our watercraft up here and they had to be inspected. I told the guy, I'm like, yeah, you can totally climb up there. Just be careful not to hit that with your feet. So he immediately crawls up here and smashes his work boots right into the side of the van. I mean, I don't blame him too much because there's hardly any space. But if you have other people climbing up your van, just be super careful because you're gonna grind the side of your van right there.
When it comes to the kitchen, you definitely need a cutting board. And we have been through 3 kinds. We had a really thick, heavy wood one, too much. A plastic one, definitely flimsy, and who knows what we're getting into our food. So we're on to our 3rd one, and this is actually bamboo. And it's lightweight. This has definitely been our favorite. We used to actually store it right here, but some of those crazy corners ended up tossing it out. So now its home is up in our cupboard. Next up is our sunshades. We actually used to have ones that came with the van and they were stupid heavy. So we ended up getting these Van Essential ones. Nice thing about these is they're lightweight. I mean, there was a significant difference that we have. And we ended up going with the metallic-y reflective side ones so that way it can keep that heat out. Now our old shades, when we put it on, we had to try to hold them in place and then slam the door shut quickly because they would not stay in place. They have these magnets in them. You can hear it. It just snaps right in. And they have this little part here, this flap, that holds right into the handle that keeps it in place. There is one downfall, and that's the straps. They do tend to hang out. So if you open up the door and you just take them and then shove them under, and then it magnets in, and then you don't have to worry about them. Perfect. They make this in two different styles, one with the non-reflective and then this style that we have. And we have actually noticed quite a big difference in using this style. It definitely keeps the heat out. Putting our old blinds back into the bag used to be a two-person operation, but this is pretty easy. And when we store them, we just put them on the back shelf underneath our bed. Oh, it's definitely dropped in temperature.
Yeah, it's freezing out here. One thing we want to mention is we had the B service done on the van. That, if you're not familiar with sprinters, there's like the A service and the B service. A is kind of like your default oil change. It's 300-ish, something like that.
Unless you go to a Mercedes dealership, then it's a lot more.
The B service, they do other stuff, but it also includes a fuel filter change.
Yes.
And it was around 1,000, which is a lot, but
it has to be done.
It just has to be done.
Yes.
The interesting thing that happened to us with this service is we took it to West Coast Overland. Mm-hmm.
They did our A service as well.
Yeah, we totally like them. They're great people. We got the van back.
We had the van fully loaded, packed up, ready to hit the coast for the holiday week. And unfortunately, I say maybe like a mile from the house, 2 miles from the house, started smelling a little bit of diesel. And Greg's like, let's just double check. Popped up the hood, and unfortunately, there's a little bit of pool of diesel on top of the...
Yeah, so inside of the engine bay is the fuel filter. And it's like right in the middle of the thing. And it's got a little lip on it. And I could actually see diesel pooling up on that fuel filter. So we turned around, went back home, called them up and said, hey, I can see it dripping out of this hose going into the fuel filter. I'm like, can we drive this thing to come back and check it out? And he's like, well, you probably shouldn't. He's like, the option of, having it towed down there, not a great option. Without even asking, they offered and they sent a tech to us.
To our house, yep. And it's not the closest distance for us.
And it took a while for them to get to us, but he came out, he did it. Not only did he fix it, but he let me do it over his shoulder and like I asked him like a million questions. And so in the future, hopefully I'll be able to do this kind of service. But basically what happens is there's a hose clamp on that fuel hose. That clamp can kind of puncture that hose.
Yeah.
And I guess that was the case. Because really all they did was pop it off, cut it off, and so it was a nice clean end. Put it back on, put the clamp on. We tested it all, and it all was fine.
Thank goodness it wasn't a bigger one, because we were fully loaded, ready to go.
We were back on our trip in a couple hours. But just to note that it's a big service.
Yes.
Just make sure you're double checking, doing some eyeballs on the actual things that were changed. And that way stuff doesn't get overlooked. Obviously it was something that they missed, and I'm pretty sure they're not gonna miss that. No, they're not gonna make that same mistake twice. They acknowledged the mistake and they fixed it right away, which makes a pretty big deal for us. They're not sponsored. I don't even think they know we make videos. We're gonna be using them again because not only did they answer all of our questions, but we asked them other things like suspension, this and that, and they've just gone out of their way to provide information to us, which is super helpful.
Yeah.
There are a ton of different things you can do with these vans. That's just what we're doing right now. Obviously things change all the time. If you guys are doing something that you think we would like, let us know, because we're very interested in that.
You can go watch this video next. You can find us at explorertrekadventure.com, and we'll see you next time.